Hi again. Walter Rauschenbusch, page 213, Christianity and the Social Crisis. He's into the present crisis, chapter 5 of his book, now dealing specifically with the Industrial Revolution. Man has always suffered want and the fear of want. His dangers have always come from two sources, nature and man. Drought or flood, locusts or wild beasts swept away his crops or herds. Earthquake and fire shook his home to ruin or ate up in the flare of an hour the toil of a lifetime. But there is a disciplining power in the adversities of nature. If man wrestles bravely with her, she will turn to bless him and make him more a man. By learning nature's laws and obeying them, he makes nature obey him. The really grinding and destructive enemy of man is man. The roaming savage in famine and superstition hunted and ate his enemy as he hunted the beast. When men settled down to till the fields, they captured prisoners and made them drudge for them as slaves, just as they domesticated the horse and ox and made them work. Strong peoples conquered the weak and exacted forced labor or rent for the use of the land which the serf had once owned. Exploitation has changed its form from one stage of society to another, but it has always existed. From the beginning until now, man has divided his fellows into those who were to be fed and those who were, figuratively at least, to be eaten. There has always been social misery. The pyramids of Egypt were built on it. The Roman roads were cemented with it. But today we face a new form of it, which affronts all just conceptions of human life in new and peculiar ways. Modern poverty, strangely enough, began when man, for the first time in history, began to escape from poverty. The American Declaration of Independence in 1776 and the French Revolution in 1789 were the birth of modern democracy. But about the same time, another revolution set in, beside which these great events were puny. In 1769, James Watt harnessed the expansive power of steam for human use. Hitherto, man had only used the localized power of falling water and the fitful power of blowing wind. The only ready force had been the vital energy of man and beast. Now at last the weary hum of the hand spindle and the pounding of the hand loom would cease. Nature bent her willing neck to the yoke, and the economic production of our race took a leap forward, as when a car has been pushed forward by hand on the level and now grips the cable and rushes up a steep incline. If some angel with prophetic foresight had witnessed that epoch, would he not have winged his way back to heaven to tell God that human suffering was drawing to its end? Instead of that, a long-drawn wail of misery followed wherever the power machine came. It swept the bread from men's tables and the pride from their hearts. Hitherto, each master of a handicraft, with his family and a few apprentices and journeymen about him, had plied his trade in his home, owner of his simple tools and master of his profits. His workmen ate at his table, married his daughters, and hoped to become masters themselves when their time of education was over. He worked for customers whom he knew, and honest work was good policy. He supplied a definite demand. The rules of his guild and the laws of his city barred out alien or reckless competition, which could undermine his trade. So men lived simply and rudely. They had no hope of millions to lure them, nor the fear of poverty to haunt them. They lacked many of the luxuries accessible even to the poor today, but they had a large degree of security, independence, and hope. And man liveth not by cake alone. I'll put in a link to Martin Hengel, the great theologian, on property and equality in ancient Israel. Property, land, and equality in ancient Israel. Next time, Rauschenbusch deals further with the impact of the age of the machine.